Have you ever felt like you weren't enough? That you needed someone or something else to complete you, to make you happy, to help you achieve your dreams? I know I certainly have. For much of my life, I looked outside myself for fulfillment and validation. I thought if only I had the perfect relationship, the right job, more money, or the approval of others, then I would finally feel whole and content. But after spending years chasing things outside myself, I finally realized a profound truth. The only person you really need is yourself. Everything you require to be happy, successful, and fulfilled is already within you. You are more than enough exactly as you are. I know this goes against so much of what society tells us. We are constantly bombarded with messages that we need to buy this product, attract that partner, earn a certain amount of money, or look a particular way in order to be considered worthy and complete. The self help industry is built on the premise that we are flawed and need to be fixed or improved. But I'm here to tell you that those messages are wrong. You are not broken. You do not need to change who you fundamentally are or acquire anything outside yourself to live a meaningful and satisfying life. The key to contentment and success lies in fully accepting, trusting, and being yourself. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who seemed to light up a room when they walked in? Someone who radiated confidence, warmth, and charisma? Chances are that person had learned the secret of being unapologetically true to themselves. They embraced their quirks, owned their strengths and weaknesses, and were at peace with who they were. As a result, they attracted positivity and drew others to them like a magnet. That's the power of self-acceptance and self-reliance. When you know yourself, love yourself, and trust yourself implicitly, you tap into an endless wellspring of personal power. You develop an unshakable inner stability that allows you to weather any storm. No matter what challenges or setbacks you face, you have the resilience and resourcefulness to overcome them. The relationship you have with yourself is the most important one you'll ever have. You are the only person who will be with you your entire life, from birth until death. How you treat yourself, talk to yourself, and view yourself shapes the quality and trajectory of your existence more than anything else. So many of us are at war with ourselves, though. We criticize and judge ourselves harshly. We focus on our flaws and mistakes. We compare ourselves to others and always find ourselves wanting. But if you treated anyone else the way you treat yourself, constantly berating and finding fault with them, that relationship would quickly turn toxic. So why do we think it's acceptable to do that to ourselves? The way you relate to yourself is learned, often modeled after how you were treated by your primary caregivers growing up. If you were frequently criticized compared to others and made to feel unworthy as a child, you likely internalized those voices and continued the cycle of self-recrimination. But here's the good news: the way you treat yourself can be unlearned and transformed, no matter your age or past. It starts with becoming aware of your inner dialogue. Pay attention to the thoughts that automatically arise when you look in the mirror, make a mistake, or compare yourself to someone else. Chances are, the default track that plays in your mind is heavily self-critical, but you can consciously choose to change that soundtrack. Every time you catch yourself judging yourself harshly, pause and choose to rephrase that thought in a kinder, more understanding way. If you slip up and say something awkward in a social setting, rather than calling yourself an idiot, tell yourself it's okay. Social gaffes happen to everyone. I'm still learning and growing. Treat yourself with the compassion, gentleness, and support you would extend to a good friend or beloved child. It will feel fake and unnatural at first. Your mind will adamantly insist that the self-degrading thoughts are true. But if you continue to consciously redirect your inner dialogue, eventually your self-talk will start to shift. You'll develop a kinder, more encouraging way of relating to yourself. The positive thoughts will feel more and more authentic. Personally, I like to bookend my days with self-loving affirmations. When I first wake up in the morning, rather than immediately grabbing my phone or running through my to-do list, I take a minute to place my hands on my heart, take a few deep breaths, and inwardly say, I love you. I believe in you. I support you unconditionally. At night, the last thing I do before falling asleep is place my hands on my heart again and internally whisper, I appreciate you. I'm proud of you. I'm committed to you. I know it might sound silly or frivolous, but reprogramming your inner relationship is essential. When you make your internal dialogue more accepting, encouraging, and compassionate, you literally change the atmosphere of your mind. And since your thoughts strongly influence your emotions, beliefs, and actions as you adjust your self-talk, your experience of life starts to shift. Self-love also involves tuning in to what you really want and need, not what others expect of you. From a young age, we learn to contort and suppress ourselves in order to fit in and be accepted. We learn that love and approval are conditional, based on living up to familial, societal, and cultural expectations. But burying your authentic self is soul-crushing. It leads to anxiety, depression, and a nagging sense that you're living a lie. Self-acceptance means having the courage to discover and express your true feelings, desires, needs, and quirks. It means honoring what genuinely lights you up, even if it defies the norms of your family, friends, or society. It means giving yourself permission to want what you want without shame, guilt, or apology. It means setting boundaries and saying no to what doesn't resonate with you, even if you disappoint others. This takes tremendous courage, especially at first. Authenticity is a muscle that must be developed over time. Start by noticing those moments when you're tempted to hide or dilute parts of yourself because you fear you'll be judged or rejected. Whenever possible, choose to do the opposite. Share that unorthodox opinion. Wear that outfit that expresses your unique style. Let your freak flag fly in small but significant ways. Yes, there's risk involved. Some people may indeed make fun of you or turn away, but those who do are not your tribe. Your people are the ones who love and appreciate you more for having the guts to be real. And even if you end up temporarily alone as a result of being true to yourself, you will still be more fulfilled than you would conforming to others' expectations but abandoning yourself. Besides, keeping up a facade of pretending to be someone you're not is exhausting. Censoring yourself and worrying about others' approval drains immense mental and emotional energy. Inevitably, the mask eventually slips and people see glimpses of your authentic self anyway. Being upfront about who you genuinely are frees up vast reserves of vitality to channel into more meaningful pursuits. What's more, owning your truest self is magnetic. We're drawn to people who unapologetically embrace their realness. There's something captivating and enlivening about being around someone who knows who they are and isn't afraid to show it. Even if your authentic self seems quirky or nerdy or intense, as you openly share it, you give others permission to let their true colors shine too. So much connection, innovation, and beauty springs from people having the audacity to be themselves. All the best art, music, literature, businesses, and inventions arise from people tapping into and expressing their unique weirdness. Conformity breeds mediocrity. Self-acceptance fuels creativity, intimacy, and impact. As you practice genuine self-acceptance, you start to develop a strong, stable inner foundation. Rather than basing your worth on others' opinions, your performance, or your achievements, you anchor your value in simply being yourself. You're able to validate yourself from the inside out rather than hustling for love and approval from the outside in. This inner stability and self-trust is priceless. No matter how much chaos is swirling around you, you're able to stay centered, clear, and anchored in yourself. Even if you get knocked down, you know that you have what it takes to get back up again. You're no longer blown about by every wind of other people's expectations or life's inevitable storms. Now, self-love doesn't mean you become an egotistical jerk. It doesn't mean you think you're superior to others or never make mistakes. Quite the opposite. The more you accept yourself, the more okay you are with your imperfections and flaws. You're able to admit when you're wrong, apologize sincerely, and correct course as needed. You don't need to posture or pretend in order to protect your sense of self. Also, self-reliance doesn't mean you never need help, support, or input from others. We're inherently social creatures wired for connection and interdependence. There's tremendous strength in being able to vulnerably reach out and ask for assistance when you're struggling. The key is that you're able to be there for yourself first and foremost. You're not grasping at others to complete you, but are rather inviting them to share in your wholeness. As you develop true self-love, you're also able to love others more deeply and authentically. You're not projecting your unmet needs onto them or trying to manipulate them into giving you the validation you ought to be giving yourself. Rather, you're able to appreciate and accept others for who they really are, not who you need them to be for you. You can savor their company when they're there and release them without resentment when they need to go. When you know how to fill yourself up emotionally and spiritually, you show up in relationships as an overflowing cup. You're not needy, clingy, or demanding. You have more to offer because you're not frantically trying to get something for yourself. You can love without attachment, conditions, or expectations. Paradoxically, the less you chase after love and approval, the more it flows into your life effortlessly. I can't emphasize enough how freeing it is to release others from the burden of being responsible for your happiness and self-worth. When you stop outsourcing your validation to your relationship status, bank balance, or bikini body, you reclaim your power. You're no longer a helpless victim, beholden to external circumstances beyond your control in order to feel good about yourself. You're the ruler of your internal kingdom. Now, this doesn't mean that the thoughts, feelings, and actions of others don't affect you. We're deeply interwoven, so of course what other people say and do impacts us, for better or worse. The distinction is that others do not dictate your ultimate well-being. They don't get to decree whether you're worthy or lovable. Only you have the final say on that. When you truly love and accept yourself, you become invulnerable to the slings and arrows of others' opinions and actions. No matter what they call you, you know who you really are. No matter what they do to you, you don't abandon or betray yourself. The less you rely on others for a sense of self, the more effectively you're able to respond to mistreatment by standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, or walking away. Personally, I used to be a chameleon, constantly morphing myself to be who I thought others wanted me to be. If I sensed someone didn't like me, I'd twist myself into knots trying to win them over. I had such a fragile, wobbly sense of self that it could be decimated by one raised eyebrow from a stranger. My emotional state was entirely contingent on what other people reflected back to me. But as I started to do the work of consciously loving and accepting all of myself, not just the shiny, presentable parts, things began to change. I started to develop an unshakable core of self worth. I became less and less willing to contort or sublimate myself to please others. When I encountered someone who clearly didn't resonate with my authentic self, rather than going into a tailspin of self doubt, I learned to bless them and release them, knowing they weren't aligned with my path. My sense of self became solid and sovereign. This takes practice, though. We've been conditioned our whole lives to believe that our worthiness depends on external markers of success, like our appearance, status, accomplishments, and the opinions of others. Unraveling this conditioning and re anchoring our self worth in our intrinsic being is a lifelong process. There will be days when you temporarily forget and fall into old habits of self abandonment. But with persistence, the muscle of self love grows stronger. One of the most helpful practices for me has been taking full responsibility for my experience of life. This means accepting that while I can't always control what happens to me, I can always control how I respond to it. I may not be able to change others, but I can change myself. I may not be able to prevent challenges from arising, but I can choose to view them as opportunities to learn, grow, and reveal what I'm made of. Taking radical responsibility is incredibly empowering. It means no longer blaming others for your problems or waiting for them to save you. It means taking yourself off the emotional roller coaster of reacting to every little thing other people say or do. It means realizing that you are the leading lady of your own life, not a supporting character in someone else's drama. You get to write your script and call the shots. When you're truly self-reliant, you know that you can cope with whatever life throws at you because you have everything you need within you. You have an eternal wellspring of resilience, resourcefulness, and resolve that you can draw upon whenever necessary. You're able to save yourself rather than being a damsel in distress dependent on someone else to rescue you. It's incredibly liberating. This doesn't mean you don't feel pain or that you don't have moments of discouragement, exhaustion, and overwhelm. But even in the midst of those moments, you're able to hold fast to the knowledge that this too shall pass, that you've overcome hard things before, and you shall do so again. You know how to comfort yourself, encourage yourself, and believe in yourself, even and especially when no one else does. And as you do the work of learning to deeply love and trust yourself, your life changes in incredible ways. You become a magnet for serendipitous opportunities, experiences, and relationships. The energy you used to waste on self doubt, people pleasing, and trying to control outcomes gets freed up to create, explore, and savor the richness of existence. You start living as an expression of your soul instead of a whittled down, diluted version of your true self. But don't just take my word for it, put these principles into practice and see for yourself. Start each day by looking in the mirror and telling yourself, I love you. I believe in you. I support you. Look for little ways to honor your true feelings, desires, and needs. Be gentle with yourself when you stumble and celebrate yourself when you win. Forgive yourself for past mistakes and trust yourself to handle future challenges. And watch how your world gradually transforms from the inside out. Because here's the secret: you already possess everything required to build a life of meaning, fulfillment, and impact. Regardless of your past, your flaws, or your current circumstances, you are already whole, resourceful, and resilient. You are already worthy of respect, compassion, and unconditional positive regard. You are already a force of nature, even if that power has been hidden by layers of self-abandonment. So let today be the day you commit to no longer betraying yourself in order to be liked, accepted, or validated. Let today be the start of a profound shift in your relationship with yourself, from critic to champion, from adversary to ally, from indifferent stranger to intimate soulmate. Let today mark the moment you truly surrender the need to be completed by anything outside yourself and reclaim wholeness as your birthright. I want to leave you with a universal, immutable truth. There is only one you. In the history of the world, there has never been anyone exactly like you, and there never will be again. You are an utterly unique, once in eternity expression of consciousness. And our species, our planet, and the cosmos itself needs your full, unadulterated realness. When you try to be someone other than your genuine self, we all lose out. So be brave. Be bold. Be unabashedly, gloriously, shamelessly you. Get to know, love, and trust yourself intimately. At the end of your life, all of the relationships, roles, and identities you clung to will fall away. The only thing you'll take with you is how well you love starting with yourself. Make that the magnum opus of your existence. Everything else is secondary. The great mystic poet Rumi said, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. Now is the time to unleash the infinite ocean of your being. Now is the moment to come home to yourself fully. There is no more vital or noble an endeavor, because in learning to drink from your own limitless well, you become free." And that's ultimately what this winding, messy, exquisite adventure of life is all about. So dive in. The glorious depths of your soul await, shimmering with beauty, wisdom, and untold treasures. Remember, no matter where you go or what you do, all you ever need is what you already carry inside. You only need yourself. And that is more than enough now and forevermore.